Hey guys, Radio MMA back here with another video. Okay, this time we're talking about the two-time UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Frank Mir, and his apparent failed drug test for USADA, the drug agency that is in charge of all the UFC drug testing. So apparently he failed this drug test for something that is very similar to an embolic steroid, and now they're testing the B sample. But what I want to tell you about is this podcast that Frank Mir did. It's called like the Phone Booth Fighting MMA podcast. Go to my Twitter, it's Radio MMA, and look at my recent tweets. It's probably the third or fourth one down the list right now. And you can get the link, and you got to check out this podcast. It's really, really interesting. Frank goes in depth on how everything happened from the guys at USADA showing up to drug test them. Very good, very interesting. It's about an hour 5 minutes, but totally worth the listen. I listened to it, and yeah, it sounds like Frank might be telling the truth here. It's impossible to know. The only one that truly knows is Frank. But give it a listen, and it's very, very interesting stuff. Okay, so he has said now that if he, they're going to test this B sample now, and if he fails that, then his career is over. He will retire. 37 years old, coming off the knockout to Mark Hunt. A lot of fans were calling for him to retire. Regardless, you know, they thought after that knockout it was time for Frank to step away from the sport. And yeah, now what happens here is if he did take this steroid, he will end up facing a 2-year suspension, which means, like, he was talking about how he was supposed to be on Fox Sports this weekend breaking down some of the fights. He won't be able to do that. The UFC will not allow him to be on the Fox broadcast for during the 2-year suspension, so we may see him return in that role after the 2 years. I know Brian Stan was on the Fox broadcast during the Mark Hunt Frank Mir fight, and he was saying, you know, Frank should be a sports broadcaster, sports analyst like him, and he should be doing the Fox stuff. He has nothing left to prove, and so we'll see if that's how this all goes down. I bet Frank would like to clear his name if he really didn't do it. It's hard to know, you know, but listen to the podcast. It's very interesting, and yeah, for sure, check that out. This is Radio MMA, and I'll be back later. See ya.